There are 7 types of men you must cut off after 50, not tomorrow. Today, before they drag you down to the grave with them. Listen to me. I'm in my 80s. I've buried more friends than you currently have. I've stood by enough graves to know that time is the only currency you can't earn back. Let's face it, you're over 50 now. The mirror isn't as kind as it used to be. Your knees pop when you stand up, and your lower back aches every time the weather turns cold. You wake up at 3 a.m. The house is completely silent. The kids are gone. And you stare at the ceiling, wondering where the hell the last 30 years went. You worry about becoming invisible. You're trying to hold it all together. Yet, the absolute dumbest way you are bleeding out your remaining time, it's holding on to dead weight because you're terrified of dying alone. We let emotional vampires sit at our table, drink our beer, and dump their garbage into our minds. At your age, your energy is a precious commodity. You don't have the luxury to play therapist or ATM to men who refuse to grow up. It stops now. Let me take you back to 1985. Reagan was in the White House, and I had a buddy named Jimmy. Jimmy and I went way back. High school football, first beers, first fistfights. We were blood brothers. I would have taken a bullet for that kid. But by the time we hit our mid-40s, the Jimmy I knew was dead. He was replaced by a ghost who couldn't stop reliving the glory days of our '68 state championship. His lifestyle became unbearable. Day drinking, unpaid bills. He hated the world and reeked of cheap whiskey and self-pity. Look, I tried to save him. God knows I tried. I got him job interviews. I lent him money I never saw again. I talked until I was blue in the face, trying to pull him out of the mud. But you can't save a man who has fallen in love with his own misery. He didn't want a way out. He just wanted an audience for his failures. I remember the final straw. A bitterly cold February night. I was sitting in the passenger seat of his rusted '78 Ford. The heater was broken. The cab smelled like stale Marlboros. I sat there freezing for 2 hours, listening to him blame his ex-wife and the IRS. I got home at 2:30 a.m. My wife was asleep on the sofa, an empty laundry basket on the floor. She had waited up for me. Again. In that moment, it hit me. By trying to play the savior to a man who refused to change, I was neglecting the woman who was actually building my life. I never answered Jimmy's calls after that night. Did it hurt? Yes. But as a man, your loyalty must belong to your family's future, not your buddy's past. You might think I'm being too harsh, but let me tell you what happened just last Tuesday. I drove down to an assisted living facility on the outskirts of town to visit an old neighbor who had a stroke. If you've never been to one of these places, I'll tell you what it smells like. It smells like bleach, boiled cabbage, and pure, unfiltered loneliness. While walking down the hallway, I saw a face I recognized. Arthur. Used to run with a crowd back in the '90s that thought the world owed them a living. Arthur is 78 now, pushed around in a wheelchair, hooked up to an oxygen tank. But his mouth hasn't changed one bit. He grabbed my arm and spent 20 minutes chewing my ear off. The nurses are thieves. The government screwed his Social Security. His ex-wife poisoned his kids against him. I looked around his tiny room. Not a single greeting card, not one photograph of a grandchild. The man was dying, and he was doing it completely alone. You see, for 50 years, Arthur was the guy who drained the room, and he surrounded himself with friends who did the exact same thing, a circle of miserable men validating each other's failures over cheap beers. They convinced each other that it was always someone else's fault, and one by one their wives left, their kids stopped calling, and those drinking buddies, they vanished the second the money and the health ran out. When you surround yourself with bitter, toxic men, you don't find brotherhood. You just practice for a lonely funeral. Why do we do it? Why do men in their 50s and 60s hold on to these losers? I'll tell you why. It's your ego. You want to believe you're the good guy, the loyal soldier. You think cutting people off makes you a bad friend. Bullshit. Loyalty to a fool is just a slower form of suicide. Take out your phone. Look at your contacts. If you spot any of these 7 types of men, you hit delete. Today, number 1, the emotional luggage. This guy never has a good day. Every time you grab a beer, he unpacks his miseries. He wants a therapist, but he doesn't want to pay for one. He pays with your energy. Cut him. Number 2, the ATM abuser. He always has a new business idea or an emergency. A man over 50 who still hasn't figured out how to pay his own bills is not your friend. He's a parasite. Let him starve. Number 3, the glory days junkie, the Jimmy, the guy who peaked in high school and refuses to live in the present. He will drag you back to 1988 because he's terrified of 2024. Leave him in the past. Number 4, the silent hater. He disguises insults as jokes. When you buy a new truck, pay off your mortgage, or lose weight, he smirks. He doesn't want you to win because your success shines a spotlight on his failures. Number 5, the vice enabler. He only calls when there's a bottle to empty, a bet to place, or a wife to avoid. He's not a friend. He's a cheerleader for your downfall. He wants you in the gutter with him so he doesn't feel alone. Number 6, the scorekeeper. He remembers every favor, every $5, every beer he ever bought you. Friendship isn't a ledger. If he's keeping score, you're not his brother. You're a transaction. And finally, number 7, the ghost. He is loud at the barbecue. He is the life of the party. But when your chest tightens, when your wife gets sick, when your engine blows out on I-95 in the pouring rain, his phone goes straight to voicemail. If he can't help you bury a body, metaphorically speaking, he has no seat at your table. So, how do you do it? You don't need a dramatic sit-down. You're a grown man, not a teenager on a soap opera. You don't owe them an explanation. You owe yourself peace. Here is exactly how you clean house. Rule number 1, the 8 p.m. rule. After 8 o'clock at night, your phone belongs to your family, not the bar, not the buddies. When the emotional vampire calls at 8:30 because his wife kicked him out again, let it ring. Let it go to voicemail. Protect the peace of your own home. Rule number 2, learn the power of no without a paragraph attached to it. When they invite you to waste your Saturday drinking in a garage, you don't make excuses. You don't say, I'm feeling tired. You say, no, I'm staying home with my wife. Period. End of sentence. If they mock you for it, that's their insecurity talking, not your problem. Rule number 3, embrace the shrinking circle. Men are terrified of having no friends. We think a full contact list means we are respected. Listen to me. Your social circle should be a fortress, not a public park. Anyone can walk into a park. It takes clearance to get into a fortress. It is infinitely better to have 0 friends and a clear mind than 10 friends who treat your life like a dumping ground. At your age, you only need 1 or 2 men. Men who will show up when your engine blows out on the highway. Men who will stand in the hospital waiting room when the doctor is operating on your kid. The rest, they are just noise. Cut the noise. Let me leave you with this. The years you have left, they are a house you've spent decades building. Why the hell are you still leaving the front door open for people who only track mud onto your floors? Look at your wife. Look at the kids who still pick up the phone when you call. Give them your best hours, not your exhausted leftovers. Take out your phone right now. Delete the ghosts. Delete the dead weight. Reclaim your time. Be a man about it. The clock is ticking, gentlemen, and it ticks faster than you think. You're not the exception. I've said my piece. Clean your house today. I'm tired now. Go, before it's too late. Make it count. I know I'm not the only one carrying ghosts. You've got yours too. If you've survived your own mistakes, if you've learned a lesson the hard way, write it down. Send it to the email down there in the description. Tell me your story, because maybe your story will be the next one I tell on this channel. Maybe your scars will save another man from doing something stupid. And don't worry about your pride. We'll keep your name out of it. We change the names. We hide the details. Your anonymity is safe with me. I don't care who you are. I only care about the truth you survived. If what I said today hit you where it matters, hit the like button. Drop a comment. Let me know I'm not just talking to an empty room. And hit subscribe. Follow the DuskMan channel. We've got a lot more work to do, gentlemen. I'll see you in the next one.